today he issued some executive orders. I mean, real quickly, the executive order, is directing the HHS, the health department, to submit a report to him within 30 days on the actions his department is taking. HHS to expand access to emergency contraception and long-acting reversible contraception. Department to ramp up outreach and public education efforts. In preparation of legal challenges, the Attorney General providing pro bono attorneys. I mean, there's some things there, but definitely not much other than he said, go out and vote. What's your reaction? I mean, you've been pretty outspoken on Twitter, but I got to tell you, I don't know, Trump for a lot of terrible things, but Trump wasn't waiting for the courts or wasn't worried about the courts. He just did a lot of things, impulsively, but he did not act like this.
Jordan, because when you have power, you have to use it. Power is finite. And the Democrats, my party, asked the people, the voters of this country, to give them the power, and they have the power. They didn't say give us the power by 10 senators. They said give us the power and you're going to see some changes in your material conditions. They're mocking time right here. There's a 10-year-old baby in my state who was raped and impregnated. And she had to go across, with an adult, obviously, across state lines to Indiana to get a flipping divorce. If we don't have a 911 crisis, I don't know what we have. My state is officially, as far as I'm concerned, the worst state in the union. It is child abuse. How do you ask a baby to carry a baby to term? If that's not child abuse, if that doesn't get your blood boiling, everybody should be mad at Sam Hill hell about that. And that should motivate those people in Washington to do something. Codify Roe. Get rid of the filibuster and stop playing games, acting like you're powerless. Jordan, I have more expectations of my toddlers than we do of these elected officials. And Jordan, again, I want your viewers to know a 10-year-old baby who was just in kindergarten a few years ago was raped and impregnated. And in my state, we were one of the trigger states. So she was a little over 6 weeks. She could not get an abortion here. We should use that outrage to codify Roe. They are not helpless. Even Senator Elizabeth Warren, there have been countless people, many activist attorneys have given really good examples of what this administration can do. Let abortion clinics operate on federal lands. There are all kinds of things they can do. Use executive order power. Who cares what happens afterwards? Use the power right now. And that is my biggest concern and disappointment. Jordan, let me just button this up this way. This president and this Congress, and when I say this Congress, I know that there are some individuals, but this president and this Congress are not bold enough for the moment. They're just not.
I don't want to play this because you were on Bernie's campaign, obviously. We were fed a steady diet of Biden gets things done. Let's just play a few of them.
Look, folks, let's talk about progressive. Progressive is getting things done, and that's what we got done.
Senator Manchin and I are going to get something done. Thank you.
Can't do much right now. Russia's responsible.
There's a lot of young people out there who are supportive of a more, I won't say rational, a more practical path to get things done.
Can't you issue an executive order? Trump passed those out like Halloween candy.
Yes, sir. Well, what I don't want to do, and I'm not being facetious, I don't want to emulate Trump's abuse of the Constitution.
He doesn't just talk about aspiration. He actually works on aspirational things that can be achieved. And he has a track record of doing that.
They want to get things done.
When we first met Willems on Labor Day, she was weighing two options.
Biden would be my pragmatic choice.
Believes that everyone should be held to the highest standard, but he'll let members of the leadership in Congress and members of Congress determine what the rules should be.
We were told he gets things done. We were told he was the one that could get Republicans along. He could bridge the divide in the Democratic Party. But I got a question for you. I asked Ro Khanna a long time ago, and he said he didn't think it would make a difference. I don't think Joe Manchin or Kyrsten Sinema have felt any pressure from the Democratic Party. Aside from a few activists paddling to Manchin's yacht. Yes, he has a yacht. A couple activists getting a little too close to his Lamborghini. Yes, he has a Lamborghini. Sinema getting chased into the bathroom. The president hasn't used the bully pulpit. Why wait till November when he could go on a public pressure campaign using the bully pulpit? They waived the filibuster for the debt ceiling.
Yes,
Why
they did
isn't
in
he-
2021.
Why isn't he going after them?
Yes, they did. In 2021, Senators Manchin and Sinema agreed with a carve out for the filibuster to raise that debt ceiling, Jordan. Absolutely. They can do that for Roe. And let's go ahead and add Senators Murkowski and Collins, because they both have been vocal saying that they were lied to by certain of the now Supreme Court justices. So those four give us enough votes to do a carve out for Roe and stop playing games. Let me tell you something. They come harder against progressives like me than they do against Sinema and Manchin. And they're not the only ones. I mean, the president just gave Senator Manchin's wife a cushy gig. So what does that tell you? Obviously, Manchin and Sinema are operating in a way that is acceptable to this White House. But what is not acceptable is the suffering that the people of this country are facing. What is not acceptable is inflation. What is not acceptable is these gas prices through the roof, which have nothing to do with the Ukraine war. We've had gas prices equal to or a little more than what they cost a barrel in the past, and the gas prices have not been this high. People need relief. We need an administration and a Congress that's going to go toe-to-toe with the oil industry. But you know why they ain't going toe-to-toe with them? Because they bought and paid for by these folks. And so meanwhile, in the hoods, where people are misunderstood, whether it's the rural hoods, the urban hoods, or the suburban hoods, people are being left behind. They can't even afford their groceries. They can't afford their medication. This is a 911 moment. And George, I think in some ways, we, the people of this country, the working class people, and that's the majority of us. Some of us may be higher in the hierarchy in the working class, but unless you got a sugar daddy, a sugar mama, or a trust fund, you work for a living. We are complicit in our own demise. At a certain point, we got to call this what it is. These people do not care. How is it that you support Cuellar, is that right, Jordan? Cuellar in Texas over Jessica, and then have the unadulterated gall to fundraise off of the Supreme Court doing away with Roe v. Wade? That's a whole bunch of gall. You know, my grandmother would say, if my grandmother were alive and this happened, she would say that they had more nerve than a brass ass monkey. That's what she would say. And the people of this country, the Democrats, donated over $80 million to my party that is not doing a daggone thing, not even when it comes to Roe v. Wade. So Jordan, here it is right here. It is not just enough to vote. Voting, yes, is part of the process, but my Democrats don't even have a guarantee that they're going to hold the House or hold the Senate. So you have to use the power right now. We know that the Republicans are wretched. What's new? We get it. The question becomes, what will the Democratic Party do with the power that the people gave them? And right now, it's an insult from social, political, whatever way you look at it, Jordan, whatever issue we throw on the table. Look, we can't get the George Floyd Act passed. You got Jalen, voting rights, nothing. And all they do is make excuses. Two more senators for what? For y'all to make more excuses why you can't get nothing done?
A lot of people voted for these progressives, the squad, because they promised that they would take those activist roots and rally the base. I don't really hear anything other than them rightfully attacking the Republicans, but they're not really going after Biden. Ro Khanna just said he can't be beaten in a 2024 primary. Bernie, who obviously we respect, said he's not going to run against him, and then he got invited over the next night for dinner at the White House. Where are the progressives with multiple crises?
I mean, the people are going to have the final say, and I want to shout out Marianne Williamson on this, has a lot of heart. The people are going to have the final say, and there has to be a reckoning. That's why I said we are complicit in our own demise. Ultimately, those of us who really care about material conditions being changed, we have to challenge our own party too, because we want it to be better. It's a no-brainer that Democrats are going to battle against Republicans and Republicans are going to battle against Democrats. There's nothing spectacular about that. Newsflash, the Republicans of today are wretched. Now, who doesn't know that? That's nothing new. What we need to have happen, and we shouldn't let the Republicans off the hook, Jordan. I don't want to let them fools off the hook. I'm not going to let them off the hook either, because they wrong all day long. But at the same time, I can't let my party off the hook because they're the party that has the power. We need some FDR spirit here. When them fools was rising up on FDR, where FDR talked about expanding, packing the court. This president saying he can't pack the court, saying he's not going to fight too hard to get rid of the filibuster. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, we have got to act. Jordan.
Would you like to see more from our side, the progressives? Would you like to see more from them?
No, absolutely, I do. But people are going to do what they're going to do, Jordan. I'm here to talk about, you and I having this conversation. I do want to see more elected officials show righteous indignation about the suffering of the people in this country, whether it's political, social, economic, environmental. People are suffering, period. And we are not. My party is not doing all that it can do to change material conditions. And the Republicans forget about them because they crazed maniacs, trying to strip everything from this representative republic. We know that. The question becomes for Democrats, whether they're progressive or whether they're moderate or right-wing, corporatists, are we ever going to use the people's power to benefit the people? Mm-hmm. Everybody's hair should be on fire right now, Jordan. Can you imagine? Can you imagine this? That your house was on fire and you called the fire department and the fire department said, Jordan, we got all the equipment, but we can't put out the fire because we got to wait for a few more firefighters to get here. Can you imagine some shit like that happening? No, you can't imagine it, because when firefighters are called to the scene, baby, they putting out the fire and they using every tool at their disposal to do it. We have a fire raging in this country, from white supremacy to bigotry to people dying. And we need somebody or a group of somebody who's going to be willing to put out the fire with the tools and the equipment that they have and not wait for some more folks to come. It's too late in November. Because we don't have a crystal ball. We can't determine what actually is going to happen in November. But what we do know right here, right now, is that the Democrats got the power right now, and they need to use it. They need to use it like the lives of the people in this country depend on it, because it does. Fascism, neo-fascism is on the rise in the United States of America. And guess what? Neoliberalism can't solve it. And yes, we need the progressives. They need to go ham on these fools. But we see what that Congressional Progressive Caucus did. Turned against me. Hell, there must be a consequence for these elected officials not doing their job. And it's not enough to just go say vote in November. People voted. I saw a graphic online, Jordan. I don't know if you saw it, where this young man, he did the research. He put it out there. People are voting more. They voted more in 2020 than they have in the past. People are voting. So the mere fact that you got elected officials putting the onus of change on the voters. I mean, if it's all on the voters, then we don't need you. So, Jordan, yeah, I'm going to be out there all over this country trying to awaken sleeping giants, because enough is enough. Now, either we're going to accept our own demise and be complicit in it, or we're going to fight. Demand. When you make a demand, there must be a consequence.
Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in to Status Coup's daily live stream Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time and Fridays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.